Hey guys, it's Alex.
And Kayla.
And we're married, not related, definitely codependent.
But in a cute way. That was the most seamless intro I think you've ever done.
You know, I felt confident on that one.
I think maybe it's because both of us let out big burps right before we started recording.
Why? You don't have to tell the people that.
Why did that? And also...
It's because we're drinking some carbonated beverages.
But this is like, okay, just on a side note, just to start.
Okay.
When I travel, I take a lot of supplements, okay? And I don't like to carry all the bottles, especially if I'm going for like a couple day trip. So
for sure, yeah.
Last time we went to Florida, we went for a few days. So I just like combine a bunch into a plastic bag. But when the other ones are with the fish oil ones.
Ooh.
And so I just burped and it was like I think it was one that was from that bag that had been around the fish oil for a long time. I didn't like that.
I don't like that for you.
So hopefully we didn't just scare everyone away. Welcome.
It's good to be back.
Yeah. How do we like to start the pod, honey?
We're here, we're queer, and thank you.
To Vladimir.
Yes. No, to all of you.
I know, but if you are watching on YouTube, which I know a lot of people do, I don't know if they could actually see it.
We have a little Conan O'Brien in the room.
Yeah, we have a little cone. You know, it's all fun and games until someone gets coned.
I know.
It has been a week.
Vladdy Daddy got a cone. Poor girl.
Our other dog sprained her tail. You got a surfing injury. I got a stomach virus and an ear infection. Like, it's just been like one of those things.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot, but we're here.
It's good to be back.
We're back. And thank you for being with us. Thank you for subscribing, for rating, reviewing,
commenting.
Let's try to get
DMing.
our reviews, by the way, on Apple Podcasts. We've been at 199 for so long. Like, let's get to 200. Who's going to be the lucky
Push
200,
us over the
baby?
edge.
Yeah, and we've come so far with the YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. We always are like, guys, help. YouTube is so hard.
And then you show up.
And
we appreciate
do it.
you.
And we love you. What do we got today?
Ooh, well, it's my turn to lead.
Yeah.
And today's game is called Masc or Straight Man.
Okay. So I'm deciding if you're describing a masc or a straight dude.
Yeah, I'm going to give you some examples and you can decide who it is.
If I say it's a straight dude, do I have to do it in the straight dude voice? Remember?
No.
I'm a straight dude.
Why do they all sound like that?
But the thing is, like, we actually just hung out with some straight dudes for a week. We had friends come and visit.
They don't sound like that.
They're not like that at all.
No, they're amazing.
We're just dicks. That's just the consensus.
Yeah.
We generalize. We're dicks. I'm sorry.
Whatever. It's fine. We
fine.
have straight guy friends and they're great. Okay, cool. All right. Who is it? Masc or straight man owns exactly one belt and has had it for 10 years.
Sounds like me. I do that with things. But okay. I feel like probably a straight dude. Right?
That seems like a straight dude kind of thing. And you know what? They probably have one of those reversible belts so that they only have to have one belt.
What are reversible belts?
Where one side's black and one side's brown, and then you can flip the belt buckle so that you can use it on both sides.
This is what I'll say. My experience with straight dudes, I dated a lot of very metro guys, so they were not like this.
Oh.
You know? Like when I first, in college, so many of the guys that I dated were from LA. They had a full skincare routine. This was like before skincare was cool, and we were teenagers. So I have a little different experience, I think.
Speaking of like skincare routine, what about uses a 3-in-1 product?
Definitely straight dude.
Yeah.
Because I guess I'm like, when I think of my dad, we know about his like hygiene.
He uses steel wool as a loofah. Steel wool.
That is insane.
That is the craziest thing I have ever witnessed in my life.
And
he uses steel wool.
Has never used lotion. He does use it on his hands and stuff because they get cracked. But like on his face, like how do you get out of the shower and
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Has one haircut and never changes it.
That's my wife. So
I'm growing my hair out.
But I could see that being a masc person because it might take a while to like find that cut that you like, and then you're like, I'm sticking with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least that's what I've seen with you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the thing is that I have very fine hair. I feel like if you have thick hair, you can do a lot with short haircuts. You can do like so many different things.
But then some people have like curly hair. You know, everyone will always say they have like something with their hair that makes it hard. You know?
I'm growing mine out. We'll see what you guys think.
Yeah.
Give me feedback. Owns 5 identical black t-shirts.
Also my wife.
Yeah, I feel like that's a masc thing.
I think it could also be a straight dude thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could actually like transcend gender because I do the same thing. Not with black, but you know.
With white, with whatever color.
With whatever, yeah.
Has 1 pair of nice shoes for weddings and funerals.
Dudes. Definitely dudes.
That's a straight dude move.
Because the thing is I feel like, well, I'm used to, okay, you are obviously a masc person that I know the best, but you don't necessarily encompass all masks. But I'm like, even just seeing people online and everything, I'm like, I feel like masks are like very stylish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And kind
good
of
fashion.
Very good fashion. Like take pride in their style, whereas straight dudes are just like,
yeah. When I lived in San Francisco, I took more pride in my style. Like when we're here, or even in San Diego, it's like I'm much more lax about my
but
outfits.
It's like you are very specific.
Yes.
Very specific about cuts, about like, you know, even if you're minimal and you're very, you know, like just kind of like classic looking, you're still very specific. Whereas like straight dudes are like, meh, it fits, you know, whatever.
It fits. Okay. All right. Only shops at REI or Patagonia.
I mean, all lesbians? Question mark?
I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding. But
has a carabiner on their keys.
Masc.
Hardcore.
Has to be.
Has to be.
Otherwise, that guy is going to get a lot of confused stares.
Yes. Okay. Loves a backwards hat.
Honey. I mean...
I saying, honey, you're the one who loves me in a backwards hat. You're always trying to get me to wear my hat.
Okay, we should ask the sister wives this.
Okay.
Because I said, no, like, I like anyone in a backwards hat. I was like, all girls like girls in backwards hats. And then I was like, well, no, probably that's just the gay girls. But I'm like, I think that straight girls like dudes in backwards hats.
I think so.
You know, so
I think they do.
I think it is, I'm like, I think girls just like people in backwards hats. Like, it's just hot. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Can you guys weigh in? I need to know, because you were like, no, that's
even
not
you
true.
The other day, I can't remember, you didn't want to carry your hat or something, you didn't want to wear it, and you put it on. I was like, you look so cute. And it was, you're wearing it backwards.
Yeah. No, you said, look at you, you little lesbian. That's what you said.
Yeah, you little lesbian. You looked adorable. Okay.
Last one.
Won't use conditioner because it's extra.
Definitely a dude. But you don't use it either, but it's because of the fine hair.
Okay, I want to do one more.
Okay.
Uses a water bottle that could survive a war.
Masc.
I think so too.
I feel like straight dudes forget to
I carry
drink
my
water.
water bottle everywhere. It's like my emotional support blanket.
Yeah, that's like very feminine. I think like guys forget to drink. They forget to like take care of themselves in the same way. They don't drink water. You know? So I think that's more masc.
Drink water. It's good for you.
Yeah. But just don't drink sparkly water and then burp into a mic.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
They didn't have to hear it.
That's true, but they did the other week.
Okay, so the reason that we played this game, do you want to tell them what we're talking about today?
We are talking about Masc and Femme beauty standards.
And we're talking about that because, speaking of thank you for participating and everything, we say this all the time, that it's like we co-create this show with the sister wives, with all of you who are listening, because we post a lot of stuff, we get a lot of feedback from you, and we can tell when it's like, ooh, this is a conversation we need to go deeper on. And sometimes, you know, this happened before with like the bi girls versus lesbians, the turf talk, some of those where it was just kind of like a real, we didn't expect to get a lot of, you know, and then it turned into a whole thing. And this one was similar, except it was an actual clip from the show. And it didn't go like mega viral or anything, but we did get over 100 comments on TikTok, which is like, for us, is a lot. So we're like, okay. And people had very strong opinions about it. So in case you missed the clip, just a little background. I forget what episode it was even for, but we were doing, like we just did it's your turn to lead game. And we had, you know what we were doing? We were doing, our dog is very vocal when she's in the cone. We were doing beauty stand or like whatever. We were talking about body image, and we had done a game that was like different submissions from listeners about like hot takes about body image. And one of them had said masc bodies are allowed to be mid in a way that femme bodies aren't. And then we gave our reaction to it. And what I had said was, well, that's misogyny entering the queer world, because that's what happens, you know, with men. Masc is short for masculine, which usually people make synonymous with being like the man, even though all of that is incorrect. Like there is no man in a lesbian relationship. And so people were very upset about this because they were like, there was a lot of people saying this is just absolutely wrong. You know, like that's not true. But there were also some people that said they agreed. So we wanted to read some of the comments and go a little deeper into this topic as a masc and a femme person.
Perfect.
So we can share our experience of, you know, how the world treats us and beauty standards that we feel in these identities, knowing that also our experience of these identities doesn't represent every femme person or every masc person. So
no, just us.
Let's get into it.
Okay. So one of the comments we got was similar to what you were just saying, which is calling any woman's body masc or femme mid is also misogyny.
Thoughts?
I mean, I agree. And just a tangent for a moment, where the fuck did mid come from? And like, come on, Gen Z's, like, why is this a thing? Do we have to say mid?
What's wrong with mid? I don't mind mid.
I just don't get it.
It's just like meh. Like it's like not anything great. I don't know. I don't see it's obviously not nice to say about anyone's looks. That's not a nice thing to say, of course. But I'm saying the word itself.
Mid. I don't use it in a sentence.
So this was the thing, is because this was a clip, people didn't realize, A, that we were playing a game, you know. I think that they thought because you were the one that read it.
And B, that it was like a submission. Like it wasn't an opinion.
Exactly. So I think they thought that you said that because you were the one reading it and you said like masc bodies are allowed to be mid. They were not realizing that was, you were reading something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I definitely agree that like calling a woman
it's definitely
mid
misogyny.
is of course. Yes. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's read another one.
Okay.
Let's stop insisting that masculine lesbians or trans men have any of the same type of body privilege as cis men. Our bodies are violently policed in many ways. We are not given the same treatment. Queer masculinity is constantly forced to emulate cis het male masculinity.
Your face, you're like trying to understand this language.
And I'm trying to follow. And any deviation from that is bad. We are not allowed to be fat. We are not allowed to have acne or look unkempt. In fact, there's literally a running narrative that implies femmes are always with ugly masks, but no one ever sees an ugly femme with a hot mask. Our queer masculinity is always under scrutiny.
Okay, deep breath. Let's deconstruct that.
If you could only see my face right now on YouTube, I'm like, wow, I have a lot to try to digest this.
So can you read the first, I think it was like 2 sentences again?
Let's stop insisting that masc, lesbians, or trans men have any of the same type of privilege as cis men.
Okay. So the first thing I want to say, because there was also quite a few comments there talking about trans men in this reel. And my question is like, I guess this isn't a question, but like that's not the same as a masc lesbian, a trans man. Why are we lumping them together at all? That is the question.
I don't know.
What do you think? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, those to me, those are totally different.
Separate things. Yeah.
You are a masc lesbian. You're not trying to
be a man.
Or like a trans man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree.
I don't know. To me, those are like totally separate conversations. First and foremost,
I do agree with this person saying that we're not allowed to have we don't get treated the same.
Of course, you're not the same.
But because I don't know, like women think that dudes who are like have dad bods like that's like super attractive. But people do not think that women who are overweight in any capacity, like people really criticize women who are overweight in any capacity, even if there's a normal body weight for a woman.
Yeah, we've talked about this so much in the last few weeks.
Love is Blind,
yes.
This most recent season.
Yes, we've been talking about that.
These women are like
hot,
normal and very good looking.
very beautiful.
And treated like they're obese or something. It's wild to me.
Okay, so this is the other thing that I want to say. Of course, you're not treated the same as a straight guy, because you're not a straight guy. And again, to me, that is still misogyny, though, because you are a woman, you are a masc lesbian. Of course, you're not going to be treated equal to a straight man. That is misogyny, isn't it? Number one. Number two, I think the other kind of nuance of this whole conversation is how the world at large, which the world at large is heteronormative, is misogynistic, is patriarchal, treats masc women and femme women, is different than the queer world and other lesbians or like potential mates. So like, which one are we talking about? You know what I mean? It's like, of course, the heteronormative world treats you differently. You also, compared especially to a femme, you don't like blend in the same way. That can make people feel less comfortable. They're going to be more critical of things that are different for them. But if we're talking about like other lesbians, so let's say, because like what you said, you're like, people aren't as accepting of women being overweight. But in your experience, having dated and been with a lot of women, and you've always been very, very thin naturally. So I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but it's like other lesbians who would be interested in you or your friends. Did you ever have friends who felt conscious of their weight because of girls who were critical of them, who like they would date, like femme girls, let's say, or anyone, whoever their type was?
In the queer world, in general, I feel like people are pretty open to different body types.
That's what I've sensed as well.
Yeah. I think we put pressure on ourselves to look and be a certain way, but like in general, I think my experience is that like people are open to all sorts of body types in the queer world in a way that a lot of times I feel like people in the straight world are way more judgmental of.
It's just more deeply conditioned, I think.
Yeah.
It's like there's this way of being, and that's so drilled in. Whereas in the queer world, we're already like, oh, we could be this way, or we could be this. Like, we are open in so many ways. And we're like, oh, it doesn't have to be the way I thought it always was. So how else can it be different too? But that's kind of what I've seen with like multiple lesbian relationships where girls are all different sizes, and they're like, that's just not how they define beauty. Yeah. Even if their partner is very thin or, you know. Yeah. I've
seen so many different types of relationships that it doesn't seem to be that as prevalent as it is in the straight world. I do think there's like pressures to look a certain way depending on what you are. Like for me, I've always felt like, oh, as a masc, like I feel like mascs have like more pressure to be jacked. Yeah. To like have muscles. And it's like I've always been like scrawny.
Little string bean.
You know, like just like so skinny. Yeah. And it's like a perpetual desire to be like, I wish I was stronger. I wish my muscles were bigger, you know?
And is that like, you feel that girls wanted that from you, or is that just something that you want for yourself? You know what I mean? Like, is that an expectation?
I think what I want for myself, but also I think that comes from a place of like, you think that that's going to be more attractive to other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And because didn't they say that you're not allowed, what did they say? You should be thin, and also something about acne?
Yeah, you're not allowed to have acne or look unkempt.
So what do you think about that? Because a few people did write in about acne, and I was like, I've never even thought about this.
I've never thought about that either.
I'm just trying to think. In some ways, I'm like, maybe a girl, like whoever their lesbian mate might be, could be more critical because girls are more into skincare. I don't know. Like, maybe they're like, ooh, maybe they do care more about that.
I don't know.
I've never
maybe
heard.
Because like mascs don't really wear makeup, so like if they have acne, they're not like able to cover it up. I don't know.
A lot of mascs do wear makeup. I don't know about a lot. I've seen on TikTok. On the TikTok,
some of them.
I see they're like, even someone like a Shannon Beveridge. Every episode has to come back to Shannon Beveridge. But she's like, I believe identifies as masc.
Is she masc?
I think she says that now. I don't know. I don't know. But
since she cut her hair,
she wears makeup.
Yeah.
And I've seen other content creator types who are like, definitely they say I am masc, and they're like, yeah, and I like a little like natural looking face, you know? So But I don't know. I've never thought about that with like the skin part of it. In some ways I'm like, ooh, maybe a femme girl is more critical of it because that's, I don't know, like we like skincare. I don't know. I can't imagine seeing someone and being like, ew, they have acne.
What about this? What about this concept that they're talking about where it says femmes can be with ugly masks, but no one ever sees an ugly femme with a hot mask?
I have a very hard time. We talked about this before, seeing like most women to see an ugly woman, I think it's hard. Most women are attractive. Period. I don't care however you are identifying, dressing. So I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen either, genuinely, where I'm like, whoa, ugly? Like,
I've definitely seen
people who I'm not attracted to.
I've definitely seen like really hot femmes with like average looking masks. I don't know. I do kind of see this though, like play out in reality. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Where I've definitely seen like really hot girls with kind of like average masks, but you don't really see like a really hot mask dating someone who's not attractive femme.
But what does that have to do with like?
It almost follows the same trend as like the straight world. Yeah, where it's like super hot girls date very like average looking guys or ugly guys.
Mid guys.
Or what did Bree say on Love Is Blind?
Medium ugly.
Medium ugly guys.
Yeah. Well, okay. You know who I was just thinking about?
You don't really see like really hot guys with not attractive women.
You know who I'm thinking about? Back to more reality TV references. Summer House. Sierra's the most beautiful person perhaps on the planet. She is like
stunning,
scarily gorgeous. She's beautiful.
And she always dates these medium ugly guys.
Honda Civics. Like she goes for the Honda Civics. But I also think I can't relate to her. She's a supermodel. You know what I mean? But I have heard girls who are just regular beautiful. They're kind of, it's like their experience with hot guys hasn't been great because they are kind of douchey. So they're like, if I go for like the funny one, they'll have more of a personality. Like I don't want to just like connect over hotness. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's like a similar thing happening it's like if you're with really hot people, there's not that you are more of a personality person. I don't know. You feel safer that way because
I don't know. Yeah.
But even if that was the case, it's like, how is that negative towards masks is my question. Because it seems like this whole comment is being like, you're wrong. These are the reasons that you're wrong.
I think they're more just like queer masculinity is always under scrutiny is the last thing they said.
Okay. Do you agree with that as a masc lesbian?
I do think so, yes.
Under scrutiny from who?
From more of like
the
more
world
straight
at large.
people, yeah.
Yeah, because it's less understood.
Yeah.
I feel like masc beauty is less understood by the straight world, whereas like femmes are fucking frothing for masks. That's
because
the thing
is like, I don't know. I just think about it as my experience. Like, okay, being in the corporate world, and I've pretty much always dressed like pretty consistently for a long time. Mm-hmm. So it's like if I'm going to work, I'd wear like jeans with like a blazer or something. Okay.
You're more like androgynous kind of. And classic.
And I would say like I could tell at work that people found me attractive. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is like before I cut my hair.
So before you were with me, or do I need to kill someone?
Before I was with you.
That's right.
That people found me attractive and they wanted to work with me because of that.
And you would wear your hair down.
Yeah, wear my hair down at work.
And like styled.
But like everything else the same. After I cut my hair short, nothing else changed, okay? I still look the same, but people treated me differently. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's not attractive to them.
And by the way, you also work in like tech San Francisco world. So
yeah,
the reason that's important is those companies are usually very progressive. San Francisco, the culture there is gay. This isn't like some conservative place where no one has seen a girl with short hair before. You know, like it's not new
but
to
it's
people
like
in
that's
those
not
environments.
Considered attractive to have short hair as a woman. Mm-hmm. And so therefore people just treat you differently now,
right?
Like I definitely felt that. And so I don't know, I definitely think it's like the world at large, you know, treats masks differently because they're just like, they don't find it attractive in whatever way.
I think even if it's that they might just not understand it yet, you know? But I do agree with that because, like I said, you are different from the norm, and humans' responses to things that are different is like, oh, they can be curious about it and ask and be open to it, but a lot of people can get kind of like, oh, I don't like that just because it's different without understanding if they actually like it or not. So I do agree with that, but I feel like in the queer world, that's my question, is like people who are your potential mates. I keep saying that, sounds so like clinical, but you know, people who you care more about them finding you attractive, are those people critical of those things? That's what I wonder, you know?
No, I don't think so. I mean, from my perspective, it's like, I don't know. I haven't dated anyone since I cut my hair because
that's right.
We were married.
Yeah.
But I would think that people in the queer world would still find me attractive, or maybe more attractive.
Maybe even, because that's what I'm saying. You see, there's like this whole thing on social media where it's like, oh, there's a mask shortage. There's a mask shortage. That's so hard for me to say. And yeah, where it's like all these femmes just like frothing for masks, you know? Don't get too excited over there.
My experience has always been there's a femme shortage.
And that's what the masks say. Like, it's people are saying it on both sides, but I'm just saying it's like
there's just a shortage of queers.
Right.
We just want more queers.
We've just all like already been together, and yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so give me another one. Let's see if we could go a little deeper.
Okay, let's see. My experience has been similar / different pressure where masc bodies have the expectation of androgyny and thinness. Okay.
Do you agree with that as someone who's androgynous and thin?
Yes, I do think that I feel that. And I am more androgynous looking, I would say.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't, I anticipate that I would feel that there's an expectation of that, because in mass culture, like, you know, the like people that you see on Instagram or wherever it is, right? Like models, like the people who are like, oh my God, that mask person is so attractive. It's very androgynous look, very thin, or like, you know, with muscles, you know, very specific look. And that's like the ideal beauty standard for the mask population, if you will.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like there's, at least like when I was coming up, there was like a few kind
of
like
who are you thinking of?
Like Ruby Rose potentially, or like
Abby Wambach?
Yeah, Abby Wambach. Like, I don't know, just like people in that era where you're like, yeah, that they have like very similar looks, and that's like considered to be super attractive.
Right. So, and you think that pressure is coming from, again, world at large, or from girls you would date? Both,
I think. I think that but
like girls, when you have, like I said, you've hooked up with a lot of girls, you've dated a lot of girls. Don't give me that face. Has anyone ever indicated to you anything about your body? Or,
well, my body is probably more androgynous and thin.
Right, but have they ever been like, oh, I wish you were more muscular? You know, like,
yes, you.
I never said that. I knew you were going to say that. I never said that.
Yes, you. No.
I said I wish you took care, like.
No, I think a lot of the girls that I was with were like, you have the ideal body type. People would say that, like, because I would be self-conscious sometimes of like, I feel like
too skinny.
Too skinny. Yeah, I'm too thin, and they'd be like, literally, you have the ideal body type. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it'd be like, well, but I wish that I had a different body type.
Right.
And they're like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You know,
because you're dating very femme girls, and most femme girls, millennial femme girls, I think this has changed a bit, where it's like curves are more in and blah blah blah. Millennial femme girls were like, skinny is better, just disappear, that's ideal.
Yeah.
Especially because on top of it, you eat whatever you don't think about food, you eat everything, you know. So I think that was happening with some of the girls you dated too, where it's also that like, it's, if I could live that existence of like, I could eat whatever I want and still be so like a little Gumby.
Yeah, I think it's different in a relationship. Yeah, I think like women, you know, if one person can eat whatever they want, the other person can't, like there's definitely that dynamic that can happen, which is like, it just is what it is. I don't know how to say it, but like,
Right.
I know that's a struggle for people.
It's a struggle for a lot of, again, I think especially millennial women. I know it happens across the board, but where it's been so ingrained in us of like, this food is bad, this food is good, smaller is better, less food is better. And you're just like, I want a hamburger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm going to eat a hamburger.
And so you eat it and you stop when you're full, even if the burger's not done. Like, you are literally an intuitive eating girly. Okay?
But
open that coaching
before
program.
That was even a thing.
Yeah, where you're just like, yeah, I'm good now. You have like zero emotion around it. No. There's no like, what if I have more? Should I like run an extra mile? Like, these are things that go through a lot of women's heads that have had disordered eating, like bad relationships with exercise, all of that kind of stuff, which I know can happen across the board. I'm sure there's masks that deal with this, but I've seen it a lot in femme women.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What pressures do you feel like you have? Do you feel you have a pressure to be hot?
I feel like I'm just about aged out, which it's like a relief and also sad. You know what I mean? When you're like, oh, God, like, it's kind of nice to be noticed less. But then you're also like, wait, am I invisible? You know, like, that's what a lot of middle-aged women talk about. But I think that's kind of what I was asking about before, where I think it's very different. It's like, who are we talking about? The world at large? It's like femmes, often we can kind of just like disappear into the straight world if we wanted to. We could travel to the countries where gayness is more, you know, persecuted or whatever, and like blend in as a straight woman and just look like a tourist or whatever it is. And with like, there's definitely privilege in that. And there's also, it kind of feels, for me, it's like then you are almost like straddling both worlds, and you get hit with some same, some different standards. I don't know. I've never.
Do you feel pressure to like get dressed, put on makeup, like make sure your hair looks nice, like when you leave the house?
Honey, you know the answer to that.
I'm asking you because I think a lot of femmes feel pressure to like not go out into the world unless they look a certain way and like to look hot. Like, do you feel that?
Okay, you are laughing when you say that because you call me a gremlin.
That's in our own home. You look like a gremlin.
Yes, and sometimes when I go out and do errands or like just go for a walk, whatever, I in my experience, it's also kind of connected to age. I used to be very, very femme, and not because I felt like I had to. I enjoyed it. Like, I loved fashion. You know, I mean, like, I was like Charlotte Russe. I'm not like, not real fashion. I'm talking about young.
Charlotte Russe.
Forever 21. You know, like Wet Seal. Okay.
Wet Seal.
But I loved
Club
clothes.
Monaco.
Like, I loved
Didn't you
clothes.
work there?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay.
No, I worked at BB.
You worked at BB.
At BB. Like, come on.
Honey.
So,
you
like,
little club rat.
Yeah, just like no, I was in high school. I was in high school when I did that, but like that. So I loved clothes. I loved sparkly things. I loved makeup. Like, I was begging my mom to wear makeup from elementary school, you know? And like, my mom was a hairdresser before she had me. And so I would always like have her do like all these big hairstyles. Like, I loved everything girly, different color nails every day, like just everything. And that wasn't because I felt a pressure. It was like, it brought me joy, you know, when I was young, and I liked the expression of it. And as I grew older, I think it was a combination of growing older, you kind of care less and less what other people think about you. And then also with the lifestyle I ended up going towards is like, I was a traveler. I lived out of a backpack. Like, the more stuff I had, the heavier it literally was. So I became very minimal and very like, I don't want to carry this curling iron around. You know what I mean? So I changed as I aged. I still like to look a certain way at certain times. Like, we are recording this right now. Mm-hmm. I wear makeup when we record the podcast.
It's the only time you wear makeup.
Because I'm just like, oh, these videos are going to be out there. Like, you know, that probably is that pressure. That's like,
should I wear makeup?
Honey, you have literally perfect skin. You know this. And it's like, I feel it more stepping into the internet than I feel stepping out of my house. People on the street aren't going to be like, ew, look at that spot. People on the internet will. You know what I mean? And obviously, ideally, you just don't care, and that shit bounces off of you. But sometimes I do care, you know? So I do feel that pressure, but I think everyone feels that pressure. I don't think that's exclusive to femmes.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like if I was dating and I didn't, I don't know, like put myself together, I would be surprised if other lesbian, like masc lesbians were like, ew, can you put some lip gloss on? I can't see them.
No, I don't think anyone would say. The way I like think about it is like in the context of like being in your 20s and going out.
Yes.
And, like going out to queer parties or whatever.
If I'm going out, I'm
the
going to
pressure
get cute.
I've always felt was like, yeah, I want to just like look my best. And for me, that was always like, I want to like maybe look cool or look a little edgy and just like look at
swaggy.
Look as my best. No one's gonna say anything to you if you don't.
But you'll just get less attention.
You'll get less attention, yeah, for sure.
That's true.
And so, like, if you were going out,
of course, I would get dressed up.
Like, yeah, would you feel pressure to like?
But I don't know if that's pressure. If that's just like,
you just
look. I think when you also don't dress up or like get dressed or put makeup on a lot, it also becomes more fun. So when I have times to do that, I'm like, oh, it'd be like kind of fun to like put a little makeup on and go on a date. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to, ugh, I have to do this.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I'm not hyper femme anymore. You know? Sometimes I say to you, I'm like, am I even femme? And you're like, yes. And I'm like, but am I? Because I do walk around in rags most of the days.
You're like athletic femme.
Right. Very sporty spice.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Good. Because this is what you got. But I am not, like we've talked about this before, where there was, we will leave them unnamed, a femme lesbian creator who said like they have to wear makeup every time before they leave the house. And it took them like an hour or something to get ready.
1 to 2 hours.
And I was like, whoa.
I would never leave the house.
That would be hard for me to date somebody like
it's
that.
Like, for me, it's like 15 minutes with a shower.
We get ready in the same amount of time because you take longer in your hair and I do makeup, which takes about 5 minutes maximum.
Yeah.
You know? So.
You just refuse to put pants on. What?
In public, I wear pants.
Yeah, but you won't like put jeans on.
I wear jeans.
You'll
sometimes.
be like, I need to wear like sweater pants.
Yeah.
Because I can't wear jeans.
I like to be as comfortable as possible. That is true.
Yeah, like that. But that's what I'm saying.
And that has compromised my femininity.
You won't prioritize fashion because you prioritize comfort over fashion.
Yes. And I think that is an age thing. That has changed as I've aged. Whereas like you prioritize both, but you tend to look more put together than me on a daily basis, even though you're just wearing a t-shirt and shorts or jeans or whatever, because it's like I also wear stuff until it's like
rags,
fully disintegrated and like stretched out and just, but I'm like, but it's so soft. And you're like, yeah, it looks like you're like walking around with poop in your pants because it's hanging so low.
I definitely feel pressure to be more put together than you do.
Pressure from who? We live in the middle of nowhere.
I don't know. Well, because I'm on like work calls and stuff,
and
I want to like look nice.
Yeah, that makes sense because you're at work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even when you're not at work, you do your hair. Like you like to feel ready for the day. I like that about you.
Yeah, I don't want to be like unkempt.
It's inspiring for me.
Is it?
Yes.
Because it doesn't change any of your
Sometimes I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start getting dressed. Like if Alex can do it, I can do it. And it just doesn't stick.
I inspire you?
It is inspiring because you're also comfortable. You're not, it doesn't feel like you're doing it like, oh, I hate this. You know what I mean? That is what you want. You are very comfortable in your skin, in your body, in your clothes. That's nice. I like to be around that.
All right.
Keep doing you, honey.
I'll keep inspiring you.
Okay.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to say about Masc and Femme beauty standards?
We have more. I know we still have time. We still have time.
Okay. It happens much more than people think. I've been at queer events where sapphics extensively discussed how a certain amount of makeup on femmes makes them look fake or superficial while still expecting them to wear makeup, and then saying how artsy and cool masks simply wearing eyeliner is. Same with fashion choices.
I have seen that.
Same.
Yeah, where it's like you're not femme enough, or you are... I mean, this happens also, by the way, with just straight girls. Mm-hmm. You know, where it's like, ew, she's like so plastic looking, or, you know. And I get, like, obviously, if you're not into that, But why? I don't, it's more like, why do you have to be like, ew? You know what I mean? Why can't you just not say anything? That's my question. Why can't you just like if that's how someone wants to look, like let them look how they want to look?
I agree. I don't know. I have heard people talking about that though, where it's like, oh, like you want women to be femme, but then it's like you're going to judge them
How
if they're
femme?
trying too hard, you know, because now they look fake or superficial.
Right.
Because they go to the med spa or whatever it is.
We love
or they
a
got
med spa
plastic
around
surgery
here.
or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't get
But
that.
don't you think it's the same for masks? Where it's like I've heard or I've seen people kind of say that where they're like, oh, you know, because there's a difference, for instance, between mask and butch. And people being like, oh, a mask. I do kind of understand what they're saying where they're like, the standard is more thin, androgynous. It's kind of model-y looking, you know?
Yeah.
Which you naturally, you're already tall, thin. Like that is just already your body type. You're not trying to achieve that. Whereas like butch is more, you know, like is Abby Wambach mask or butch? You know?
Both.
I don't know what she says, but you know, I don't know. It's like I've heard femmes say that too, where it's like I want the mask to be looking this certain way, like have these kind of masculine qualities, but not be too masculine to where now you are more butch, and there's this like fine line. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot. Should we just be ourselves?
Right. And just
be comfortable in our skin, and isn't that what's most attractive in the end?
That's what I was going to say about all of this. It's like, honestly, and I think we talked about this in the first episode. Confidence is the hottest thing of all. When someone is just themselves, and it's like, wow, that's hot. Even if it deviates from the norm of, oh, these pinnacle people of this is how we're supposed to look. But if that person is putting on a fit and they feel super fucking hot.
I know. I almost don't get upset, but
Honey.
Sometimes do you ever wish you were like, you're like, okay, I'm so comfortable in my skin now in a way that
You're
wasn't
trying to go test
10
drive
years ago. Okay, when I was 28, I wasn't as comfortable in my skin. I was always
Really?
like confident, but like I felt I like wanted to be.
You're
cool,
healthier
you know.
now,
You're like
too.
want to go out and like be cool, you know.
Yeah.
And like feel
like
cool and all
trying a
this,
little
and now it's
harder.
like you're like trying a little too hard. Now I'm like.
I
think
cool.
this is an age thing. It's like, I feel like comfortable in my skin. I feel confident. I'm just like, I don't know. I just like who I am.
Yes.
I don't like question that.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about people liking me in the same way that
Yeah.
you do when you're in your 20s. Like I'm almost 40
Right.
at this point. And you almost wonder like if you were to go out now and you're single, like I feel like
what
that
I was
would
saying
be,
after my blast.
that would be so much more attractive
Yes.
than when I was 10, 11 years ago and I was objectively hotter, you know, but like insecure
right.
in certain ways.
Yeah. I think, because I told you this before, like I loved to party when I was younger. A lot of people like to party because they like to hook up with people. You know, like that's almost like the point of partying. I just genuinely like partying. Like I love dancing. I love the I love the party. So I was never somebody that was like, oh, if I don't hook up with someone at the end of the night, I had a bad night. And it's not this, I obviously was still insecure. I still had all the things of being in your 20s. But I do think that was attractive to people. Whereas like my friends who were very focused on guys, it had a harder time sometimes getting them because it's like that's all whereas like I was like I'm kind of just trying to have fun with my friends, like fuck off, you know, like I didn't even want to hang out with them. I was just trying to have fun. And it's that same type of thing where it's like you don't care what people think about you. For me it was like I was just focusing on the partying. It wasn't because I'm like so confident, but yeah, I do think that is the most attractive thing that you can do. And it's like also anybody that's going to be criticizing your looks by calling you mid, by calling you, oh, you shouldn't have this.
Don't fuck them.
Fuck them.
No, don't fuck them.
Oh, yes,
don't fuck them.
But also fuck them in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if someone's like, ooh, you have a little, a little concealer on that acne would go along. No, like
nobody's going to say that.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, these aren't people you should want to be with anyways.
No.
And yeah, I just think that's not. And as far as like the straight world understanding us, they're never going to understand us. That's why we do things like this podcast. We know a lot of straight sister wives, and they always say like, this is actually so helpful for me. I have queer friends. I learn so much about this whole world that like I didn't know about. So it's like, it's for the queers first and foremost. But I do also like that it's like, you're normalizing, yes, girls can have short hair. Girls can wear a suit to their wedding if they want to. It doesn't mean they're trying to be a man. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like, that is who you are. Mm-hmm. You wanted to wear what you're comfortable in. Yeah. And it's just like the most that we can do to get the straights to understand is to just keep being ourselves confidently without letting pressure change us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? Fuck the man.
All right, who's your problem this week?
Okay, is yours in line with the
Yes.
theme? Okay, so you do yours first.
Okay, so for all the millennials that are out there,
shout out,
who grew up watching America's Next Top Model.
Okay.
Have you guys been watching the documentary that's on Netflix that came out?
I'm sure.
Because we watched it.
Yeah, you gotta watch.
We ate it up so fast.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I loved it. Because I liked America's Next Top Model. I wasn't like diehard. I saw
like a handful of episodes. I didn't like notoriously watch it, but like
I always watched
my
it on
college
planes.
roommates, they like notoriously watched it. And I remember like they were so into the toxicity of the show. Like they loved it.
Right.
I didn't like totally get it. I watched some episodes.
Of course
but
you didn't totally get it. It's like
watching the documentary though was like so sad to watch and also nostalgic of that era. But my question is, if you watched it, right, we know how messed up that show was. Right. How they treated women, the humiliation rituals.
By the way, was reflective of the time. You could do that with any piece of media in that time and pick it apart in the same way.
And we know that Tyra was extremely toxic and was, you know...
I think that should be present tense. She still
hurt
seems
a
to
lot
be.
of women on that show, right? The question is Tyra the problem, right? For like doing the show, doing the show the way she did it, or was it like a product of the time and a reflection of the industry itself? So who's the problem? Is it Tyra or the time and industry?
I mean, I think it's the industry. Okay, stay with me. She is, the Allison Mack that. Industry is Keith Raniere. Mm-hmm. She is a product.
A little NXIVM reference for you culty people out there.
She is a product. She was like a victim herself in that way. Obviously, but
then went on to victimize so
course,
many people.
Does not make it okay. There's a reason why the victim still went to jail in the situation I'm talking about, because you still did bad things, but it's like that is learned behavior. So the ultimate problem is the one. I think you have to go to the top. In an ideal world, would she have like stuck to her guns and been like, no, I want this to be about diversity and like be about all the things she said? Sure. But she also wanted to succeed, and she wouldn't have had a show if she did that, because they would have taken her off the air. Mm-hmm. It's not a good reason, but I think it has to be.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
She's super toxic, but I think it was of the time and the industry, and these things would never happen today, even if she was the same. I mean, actually, we'll see, because she's about to launch another season.
Oh my God.
So we'll see if she's still the same.
Yeah.
Or if
it's going to be
if it's going to be evolved with the times.
It's going to be the same as like them taking off Victoria's Secret fashion show and then doing it again and being like, we've rebranded. And, I don't know. It's so performative though. It's like it doesn't feel
I mean, this is a hot take, but like I liked the fashion show the way it was.
Of course you did. It's a bunch
amazing.
of hot girls walking around half naked.
It was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That is like a whole separate conversation of just like, well, yeah, I don't think I think supermodels are almost meant to be unrealistic.
Exactly.
But that could be us speaking a product of our
just
times,
like Yeah.
But okay.
Who's your problem?
So mine is kind of related, where it's just like about clip culture, because this whole thing, we've talked about this before on the show of like, clips being taken out of context and everything. And I don't know. It's like, the thing is, if you have a podcast, you can't not have clips. That's the only way to grow. That's the only way to get listeners. Like the algorithm within Spotify and Apple is like, you know, that's been, so you have to do it. But then at the same time, people do just see a clip and then they get so upset. Like they said, they thought you were calling people, like they don't understand the full context. But you're like, how else do I do this? We have these long, more contextual, nuanced conversations. You know what I mean? It's like, who's the problem? Like, is it clip culture or is it the way people respond to it? You know?
I think it's the way people respond to it.
Of just like getting so heightened about it instead of like
Yes.
listening to the whole thing.
Yes.
But then I also understand if you hear a clip and you're like, wow, that person sounds like a dick. Why would you then be like, let me actually go spend an hour listening to the whole episode just to make sure they actually are
That is
a
usually
dick.
what I do.
I do that too, but not always.
Because I'm like, oh, now I like want to know. There's all this controversy around it. I want to know if it was actually that bad. And I go and listen to the episode. I'm like, this is totally out of context. Like people
Like
are
the
freaking
Betty
out for
Who
no
interview.
Yeah, people are freaking out for no reason.
Right. If it's like in my little like the Betty Who interview on Made It Out, it was the same thing. We saw the clip and we're like, we need to listen to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying if it's just a passing, like we're not a big show the way that like a Made It Out is, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, to where, so if someone just discovers us and they're like, wow, that person was really annoying. I can't believe they said, the chance of them being like, let me actually go listen to the whole thing,
Yeah.
you know? So it's kind of like, does it work against you? Or is it the
I don't
same
know.
that like all press is good press? This isn't press, but comments, you know, engagement.
I don't know, but I think it's people the way they react to it. I don't know how you get away from doing clips.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard for me because I want to explain and be like, no, listen to the whole episode. Like, no, we didn't mean it like that. Like I even went and edited the caption on that video because I'm like, these are not our opinions. Like this is something that we're reading, you know, but it's like, you just can't control.
You can't win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let us know what you think. Also, I would love to hear from more sister wives, masc, femme, everything in between, of their experiences about this, because I think we could literally keep going deeper into this. There's
Me too.
so many people have different experiences, and it's like your experience in the queer world and also then in the straight world, because those are two different ways of being received.
Yeah, 100%.
We love you.
We'll
See you next week.